Over this past year, there have been a number of reports of shortages on our shelves in Gibraltar, largely due to Brexit. Products of animal origin now require a substantial amount of paperwork to travel from the UK to Gibraltar by land. The apparent need to fill shelves has resulted in toys in fridges in recent weeks. Morrisons UK told GBC it's been using space differently while it sees some supply issues to Gibraltar. It's also implemented some restrictions on quantities of crisps purchased. It says this is to protect supply.
Well, not as good as it has been in the past.
I find it's very hit and miss. Some days are good, other days are bad. But really, you can't do a full day shop. You just come down, what they got you buy.
I found what I wanted really. But I've also noticed that there are a lot of shelves, empty.
I find it there's lots of things missing. Like for example here where you go for the poultry and that, many things are missing.
Lived here when the border was closed, you get used to it, don't really matter.
And whilst Morrisons seems to be struggling with some items, Eroski says it's upped orders from Waitrose UK for the items it is able to bring over to cater to local demand for British products. Some meat and dairy products from the UK aren't available, but it says it's made arrangements to source most of these things locally or elsewhere. The supermarket's director, Daniel Macias, says that over the course of this year, Eroski's become wiser to what items have the paperwork available to send by land and what's easier to send by sea without the same level of documentation. And how might this affect the festive season? Well, Christmas orders are placed 6 to 8 months ahead of Christmas. Eroski says 6 months ago it didn't have the same clarity it does now. As a result, there are some products it's opted not to bring and chosen to source locally. For example, you won't find Waitrose frozen turkeys at Eroski this year. It says it's opted to source them locally instead, but has learned that it will be able to bring them over by sea next year. It's been able to source 95% of usual items one way or another, and it says it's in a good position to cater to the local community this Christmas.
If I don't find it here, I go to the other places anyway. So,
for me, example, it's something I doesn't found, but I combination, ones from here because the price is very different.
For its part, Goviran sources locally and from Spain and hasn't had any issues. The Food Co., which stocks from Tesco and elsewhere, reports no problems. And what about the smaller mini markets around Gibraltar? Many of these are locally supplied and have had less first-hand experience of the same logistics issues. The express stores say they haven't had any problems. At Resource Daily, there have been some delays from local suppliers due to a lack of truck drivers since Brexit. But it says it's managed to source everything it needs apart from the odd confectionery item from the UK. Ramsons has Christmas goods arriving soon, but thinks it may be affected by delays from local suppliers. Marks & Spencer's says it's fully stocked and hasn't had any issues. So why is it the larger chains that have such problems? They do bring in a wider range of produce where shelf life is an issue. COVID has created logistics issues around the world, and Gibraltar's not immune to this. This, coupled with Brexit, creates the perfect storm, especially for goods of animal origin.